Hi, I'm Scott Burke and welcome to the Main Forge. In this video, what I'd like to do is share a little bit about my Buffalo table forge, how it works, and how to make a good fire. So, this is my table forge. It's made by the Buffalo Forge Company. As you can see, I've built this pretty extensive fume hood above it because my forge, as I built it pretty tight and insulated it so I could stay warm and work here in this Maine winter. So I want to make sure I've got all of the fumes heading up. So it's a little bigger than I would ideally like, but because of the situation I have here, I want to make sure I'm watching for my health. Anyhow, I'm going to go through some of the parts here. We've got a firebox in here, which I'm going to bring the camera over in a minute, and we'll take a look at that closely as we build a fire. Underneath, I've got a handle here which turns the grate and makes it a clinker breaker, and then way underneath is a little weighted door, which is my ash dump out. So this right here is just a stand or a helper for pieces as I prop them up and have them in the fire. Over on this side, I've got a blower, which is kind of your gerbil cage blower. I've got an on-off switch here and a little controller, speed controller, so I can adjust how much air and how fast the fan is going. So it's a little bit like a dimmer switch you have on a light. So that takes care of air coming into the firebox and then exit of the fumes. Here's a little close-up of the firebox, and as I turn the handle you can see the grate and clinker breaker that's in the bottom of that. There's a little close-up of my fan. You can see it's made by the Center Forge Company. And a little door that I've put on the side so I can also have a little finer control on how much air enters that blower. And looking underneath you can see the little trap door for the ash dump. Okay, now I'd like to talk about making a good fire. When making a fire you want to keep three things in mind. You've got heat, you've got fuel, and oxygen. And it's important to keep all three of those in balance and to watch your fire as it starts to grow to find out what needs to be added to keep the heat coming up and get to the fire that you want to have for working the metal. Okay, what I'd like to show you is essentially two stages of coal that we have. This is what I call the green coal. It's soft coal or bituminous coal. It's also sold as smithing coal. And that when it's burnt turns into what we call coke. And coke is this bituminous coal with the impurities burnt out of it. It's kind of like the charcoal that you have in a wood fire. It burns very clean and very hot, and that gives us really the working fire that we would like to use to keep our metal at temperature and also be able to do things like forge welding, which is actually welding metal in a fire, or just as I bring it out, and keeping the impurities out of that so that I can join those two surfaces together. So, let's light this fire. Just lighting the paper in a few places. I'm going to bring the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we've got our paper lit and our wood's ignited. I'm going to turn on the blower at this point. We're going to give it a little more oxygen. It's going to raise the temperature. And as that starts to work, I'm going to start adding some coke into this fire on top of the wood. And we're going to keep it nice and airy. I hope I'm staying out of the way here so you can see what I'm doing. You can see the temperature of the flames right now. It's fairly low because this is just a primarily paper and kindling fire right now, so that to have my hands around the fire is safe as long as I keep things moving. Once the temperature comes up, can't exactly do the same thing. So, we've got things going. I'm going to add a little more air to it. So I think you can see in a very short time we have a nice hot, clean burning working fire. We're ready to get started, so thank you for watching.